I still hear the glass hit the floor that night, the sound of my world splitting open. It was past midnight when I walked into Nolan's apartment, carrying his favourite takeout and a letter I'd written about our future. The hallway light flickered and laughter spilled from behind his door. A woman's voice, low, breathless. My chest went cold. When I pushed the door open, they froze, Nolan and my best friend, Kira. Her lipstick smeared against his jaw. My hands shook so badly the bag slipped from my fingers, crashing onto the tile. Dennerly. "It's not what you think," he stammered, but it was exactly what I thought. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at the people I loved most, the people who had stolen my peace. I whispered, "You could have just told me." The silence after that felt like a burial. I left without another word, walking into the freezing night. My world didn't explode, it imploded. And, from that moment, I swore I'd never let them see me bleed again. For weeks, I lived like a ghost. My phone buzzed with Nolan's apologies, Kyra's fake tears, my mother's questions. I ignored them all. I'd move through the day half alive. Half burning, I'd wake up at 3 a.m., replaying their faces, the betrayal, the way they looked relieved when I walked away, like my pain made room for their comfort. One night, I deleted every photo, every memory, but I couldn't delete what they did to me. That's when I created a private folder on my laptop, Project Silence. It wasn't rage, it was clarity I started writing. Not about what happened, but who they really were. The lies, the money, the secrets Nolan told me in confidence. I told myself it was therapy, but deep down, I knew what it was becoming. A weapon. I wasn't healing, I was sharpening. By the end of the month, I had a plan. One that didn't involve screaming, blocking, or begging, just quiet, deliberate payback. And for the first time since that night, I smiled. I ran into Nolan at the grocery store 3 weeks later. He looked surprised, maybe because I didn't look broken anymore. My hair was straightened, my clothes clean, my voice calm. "Denali," he said softly, like he'd earned the right to say my name. I smiled faintly. "Hey, you look good." He blinked. "I've missed you." Liar. I kept my tone warm, practiced. "We should catch up sometime, maybe clear the air?" He nodded instantly, relief washing over him. I could almost see the guilt melt off his face. That's the thing about people like Nolan. They mistake your calm for forgiveness. As I walked away, I texted Kara. "No hard feelings. Let's talk soon." The bait was set. That night, I opened my laptop again, mapping out every move, the timing, the execution, the way truth could be more powerful than revenge, if it was revealed the right way. This wasn't about hurting them back. It was about letting them watch me rise from the ashes they thought I'd choke on. 2 weeks later, Nolan called me. "Dinner tomorrow?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "Sure," I said softly. "You pick the place." I already knew he'd choose that expensive rooftop restaurant, the same place we celebrated our anniversary last year, poetic, in a cruel way. When I arrived, Kyra was there too. My heart clenched, but I smiled. They thought this was closure. I knew it was exposure. They spoke about their new beginnings. Kyra bragged about her job promotion, the one I secretly helped her get by editing her portfolio. Nolan mentioned an investment deal with a tech startup. I pretended to listen, sipping wine. But while they smiled, I was recording. Every word, every little brag that contradicted the lies they'd told people. When Nolan reached for my hand, I met his eyes. "You ever think about what you'd do if your secrets came out?" He froze. Kyra laughed nervously. "I'm just kidding," I said with a grin. But inside, I wasn't. That night, I laid everything out like evidence in a courtroom. Nolan's shady investments, Kira's stolen designs from her co-workers, every file, every receipt, every message. Then I mapped their world. Who they depended on, what they feared losing. The next step wasn't destruction. It was patience. The kind that burns slow. I started with whispers. I left subtle clues where people could find them. An anonymous email to Kyra's firm, hinting at plagiarism. A small leak about Nolan's misuse of company funds, sent to a journalist friend from college. The beauty was in how quietly it happened. No fingerprints, no noise, just small, precise cuts. By morning, the first domino had already begun to fall. Kyra's boss forwarded the email to HR. Nolan's partner requested an urgent audit. I watched it unfold with calm satisfaction. They thought I was gone broken, defeated. But I was right there behind every silence. And soon, they'd realize silence is the loudest revenge of all. 3 days later, the whispers began to echo. Kyra's company suspended her pending review. She texted me that night, her message shaking with panic. "Someone's accusing me of stealing designs, D, I swear I didn't." I typed, "That's crazy, who would do that?" and hit send with a smile. The next morning, Nolan called. His voice was tight, clipped. "My investors pulled out. Somebody leaked internal documents." I murmured softly, "That's awful." He didn't know I was watching it unfold from my couch, sipping tea, calm as Sunday morning. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was rhythm, precision, watching karma take the shape of my own hands. But guilt started to whisper too. Late at night, I'd stare at their pictures and wonder if I'd gone too far. Then I'd remember the sound of Kira's laughter that night, and my doubt turned to steel again. This was justice. Quiet, clean, necessary. Nolan showed up at my apartment unannounced. The knock was sharp, urgent. When I opened the door, his eyes were wild, red, sleepless. "Did you tell anyone about my work?" I tilted my head. "No, why?" "They're saying the leak came from inside. My name's all over it." I stepped aside, motioning him in. "You look tired, Nolan." He dropped onto the couch, his hands trembling. "Everything's falling apart. Kira's ignoring my calls. My job's on the line." I sat beside him, close enough to smell his cologne, the same one he wore that night. "Maybe it's just life balancing itself out," I said quietly. He looked up, confused. "What's that supposed to mean?" I smiled. "Nothing. Just, maybe you shouldn't have built your peace on someone else's pain." His jaw tightened. "You sound like you know something." I met his stare and whispered, "Maybe I do." He left without another word, but I knew he'd come back. This time, desperate 2 days later, Kyra called. Her voice was cracked like glass. "Denali, I don't know what's happening. HR suspended me. They said they have proof of stolen drafts, designs I never touched." I kept my tone soft. "You've always been talented, Kyra. Maybe someone framed you." She sobbed. "You're the only one I trust. Can you help me prove I didn't do it?" I hesitated for dramatic pause. "Of course," I whispered. "Send me the files they're talking about." When I opened them later that night, I smiled. They were mine. Old sketches I'd shared with her months ago when she said she wanted to study my technique. She'd stolen them. And now the world knew for the first time I didn't feel pain. I felt power. Still, a part of me ached when I saw her messages flood my phone. "Please, Denali. I can't lose my job." I didn't reply. Some lessons I'd learned only sink in through silence. A week passed. Nolan's firm suspended his contract, pending investigation. Kyra's face disappeared from social media. I thought the quiet would bring peace. But instead it brought memories. I'd catch myself replaying the night of the betrayal, the smell of that room, the sound of my own breathing, the version of me that broke and never got to speak. That's when the nightmares began, Nolan standing over me saying, "You'll never heal." One night, I woke up drenched in sweat and looked at my reflection. My eyes had changed. I wasn't just avenging myself anymore. I was becoming someone I didn't recognize. The next day, I packed a bag and drove out of the city to my late father's cabin by the lake, the one place that ever felt like truth. I needed to breathe to decide how far I was willing to go, because the deeper the silence got, the more dangerous it felt. The lake was quiet that morning, fog curling over the water like a secret I made coffee, trying to pretend my world wasn't unraveling in slow motion. Then I saw the car. A black sedan parked halfway down the dirt road. My stomach sank. When the knock came, I already knew who it was. Nolan stood on the porch, his eyes sunken. "You disappeared," he said. "I needed air," I replied coolly. He ran a hand through his hair. "Kira's gone. She quit, changed her number. I think someone set us up, Denali. Please, if you know anything." I held his gaze. "You want the truth?" He nodded quickly. I leaned in close. "You set yourself up. Both of you did, the moment you thought I was too weak to fight back." He froze. "What are you saying?" "Nothing you'll ever be able to prove." His expression shifted, confusion melting into fear. And that's when I realized the game had just turned after Nolan left the cabin. The silence felt heavier. I watched him drive away, his tail lights disappearing through the fog. For the first time, I wasn't sure if I'd gone too far or not far enough. That night, I got an email from an unknown sender. No subject line. Just one sentence. "You're not as invisible as you think, Denali." My pulse spiked. I checked the headers. It came from an encrypted domain. Someone new. Had Nolan found a trace? Or Kira? The next morning I called an old friend, Maeve, a journalist who owed me a favor. "Can you trace an encrypted email?" I asked. "Maybe." "Why?" she pressed. "Just curiosity." While she worked on it, I started gathering the physical evidence, every file, every note, ready to burn if needed, because if someone was coming for me, I wanted them to find smoke, not proof. 2 days later, Maeve called. Her voice was low. I traced that email. My heart pounded. Who was it? There was a pause. It came from Kira's old company account, but here's the weird part. It was sent after her suspension. I gripped the phone tighter, meaning. Someone else is using her credentials, maybe trying to frame her, or frame you. I stared out the cabin window, the reflection of the lake trembling like my breath. "Maeve, if anyone asks about me, I'll say I haven't heard from you," she finished. "But Denali, what did you do?" I hung up without answering. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside felt like footsteps. Maybe Nolan wasn't the only one playing a game. Maybe someone else had been watching from the start, using both of us as pieces. And if that was true, my quiet revenge had just become a storm. 3 nights later, my phone buzzed again. A blocked number. I almost ignored it until a voice whispered, "Denali." It was Kira. My throat tightened. "Where are you?" "I can't say, but someone's following me," she breathed. "Nolan thinks you're behind it all. He's losing it, Dee. He's not the same." I sank into the couch. "You betrayed me, Kara. You don't get to—" "I know," she snapped, her voice cracking, "but you have to believe me. I didn't send that email. Someone's trying to burn us all." Her panic sounded real. Too real. Before I could answer, a car engine roared outside my cabin. I peered through the curtain. The same black sedan. "Kira, where are you calling from?" I whispered. She hesitated. "Near your father's lake house." My blood ran cold. "What?" The line went dead, and outside the engine stopped. I grabbed the flashlight from the table, my heart pounding so loud it drowned the silence. Outside, the night smelled of rain and fear. The sedan's door creaked open and a man stepped out, tall, wearing a black jacket. I couldn't see his face. "Who's there?" I shouted, no answer. He moved closer, slow, deliberate. I shone the light. His eyes caught the beam. Not Nolan. Not anyone I knew. "Denali!" His voice was deep, calm. "You don't know me, but you should." I took a step back toward the cabin door. "Say what you came to say." "I work with Nolan's company. You've made powerful people nervous." "I didn't do anything illegal," I said, though my voice trembled. "Sometimes truth is the most dangerous weapon," he replied. Then he slipped something under a rock, a flash drive, and turned back toward his car. "Find out who really started this," he said, "before they find you." I waited until dawn before retrieving the flash drive. My hands shook as I plugged it into my laptop. The files were encrypted, but one folder was open. Project Vellum. Inside were bank records, hidden emails, connecting Nolan's tech firm to a shell company in Kira's name, transfers, signatures, coded transactions. They'd both been laundering money through fake design contracts. I stared in disbelief. All those nights I blamed myself for trusting them. They'd been partners in something darker all along. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was criminal. And someone in their circle had realized I was getting close. That's why they came for me, I whispered to myself. You wanted revenge, Denali. Now you've got a war. My plan had to change. This was no longer about heartbreak, it was about survival. And this time, silence wouldn't be enough. I didn't leave the cabin for 2 days. I went through every file on that flash drive, piecing together the puzzle. Nolan's firm wasn't just funding tech projects. They were laundering investor money through fake design firms, all under Kyra's name. My name appeared once. A single document labelled Client 47. My social security number, my old email. They'd used my identity as a cover. My chest tightened. This wasn't just betrayal, it was identity theft. I called Maeve again. I need you to leak something, I said. She hesitated. What's in it? Enough to burn them both, but not me. Her sigh carried through the line. Send it. But Denali, this kind of truth bites back. As I uploaded the first batch of files to her secure Dropbox, lightning flashed outside the cabin. In that flicker of light, I saw a shadow move past the window. Someone was still watching. And I realized I wasn't just the storyteller anymore, I was part of someone else's ending. The next morning I packed my bag and drove back to the city. My chest was tight, my fingers trembling on the wheel. When I reached my apartment, the door was slightly open. I froze. Inside, everything looked untouched, except my laptop. The screen glowed faintly. A message pulsed across it. Stop digging. My heart thudded hard enough to drown the sound of traffic. Someone had been inside. I unplugged the system, grabbed the hard drives, and locked them in my car. Then I drove to Maeve's office. She glanced up when I arrived. You look like you've seen a ghost. Maybe I have, I muttered. She showed me the draft article, clean, precise, and deadly. Once this goes live, the FBI will have to act. I nodded. Do it. As I walked away, I felt a strange calm. If the truth was a fire, I was finally ready to stand in it. The article dropped that night. Headlines exploded across every outlet. Tech firm implicated in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Nolan's name appeared in the second paragraph, Kyra's in the fourth. Mine? Nowhere. Within hours, social media lit up. Nolan's company's stock plummeted. Kyra's firm deleted all online traces of her. It was chaos. And for the first time, I didn't feel fear. I felt vindication, until Maeve called again. Denali, they're saying someone leaked everything, not just what we planned. My stomach twisted. What do you mean, everything? Private emails, voice notes, personal data. Someone hacked the story before it went public. The leak was now uncontrolled, wild, dangerous. And worse, the hackers used my alias, Project Silence. I whispered. They flipped it on me. Maeve's voice trembled. They're coming after you next. Outside my window, sirens wailed. Closer, louder, I'd won too loud. By dawn, my name was trending. Anonymous source behind tech scandal, identified as Denali Ross. My inbox flooded with threats and press requests. Reporters waited outside my apartment building. I called Maeve, but her number was disconnected. Then a text came in from a blocked ID. We warned you. I knew it was Nolan. He was desperate, cornered, and dangerous. That night, I packed my essentials and went back to the cabin. It was the only place left untouched. When I arrived, the door was ajar again. Inside, the smell of gasoline hit me. My chest froze. Every inch of the cabin was soaked. Files, furniture, everything a matchbook lay on the table, with one word scrawled inside: end. I stepped outside and screamed into the night, "You won't erase me!" Then I ran. As the first spark lit behind me, flames swallowed my past in seconds. But I wasn't done yet. By the time the fire trucks arrived, I was halfway down the mountain, hiding behind a fallen tree. The cabin was gone. Every piece of evidence burned to ash. But they underestimated one thing. I'd made backups. Hidden online under a private server, the only person who knew about them was Maeve. If she was gone, the files still lived. I drove to a motel 2 towns over, wiped my phone clean, and created a new identity. Lena Ward. For days I monitored the fallout. Nolan denied everything, blaming a vengeful ex. Kyra disappeared completely. No trace, no sightings. But then, a new email pinged my burner inbox. No subject, no sender, just a video attachment. When I opened it, I saw Kyra, sitting in a dim room, her voice shaking. "It wasn't Nolan," she whispered. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." The screen flickered, then went black. And I finally realized my revenge had opened a door I was never meant to touch. I replayed Kira's video 100 times, trying to catch what hid beneath her shaking voice. There was a faint hum in the background, like an old air conditioner, the kind used in corporate basements. Then a sound, footsteps, then a man's voice. Not Nolan's, deeper, calm. I froze the frame, enhanced the lighting. A logo flashed on the wall behind her Rothvale Industries. My stomach dropped. Rothvale was Nolan's parent company, the one he said handled big investors. They weren't just laundering money, they were covering something far bigger. I uploaded the clip to my hidden drive, labeled it Final Proof. That night, I called Nolan. He answered on the third ring, his voice low. "You shouldn't have seen that." "So it's true," I said. He sighed. "Denali, you don't know what they'll do to keep it quiet." "Then maybe," I whispered. "It's time the whole world hears it." The next day, I met Nolan in a crowded cafe. Daylight, cameras, witnesses. He looked exhausted, older somehow. "I never meant for you to get dragged into this," he said. I kept my tone steady. "You used my name to hide your crimes." "It wasn't just me," he murmured. "They made me. Rothvale owns everything, even the police reports Kira tried to run. They found her." My chest tightened. "You're saying they'll kill me too?" He looked up slowly. "Unless you make a deal." I laughed bitterly. "You think I'm going to negotiate with people who erase witnesses?" "Denali, they're watching us right now," he said, eyes darting toward the street. "You want revenge? Then we need to burn them from the inside." For the first time, I saw it. The fear behind his arrogance. He wasn't a villain anymore, just another ghost trying to survive the fire he started. Nolan gave me an access key to Rothvale's private cloud, a list of encrypted codes, and one warning. Once you open this, there's no going back. That night, I sat in my motel room, laptop open, hands trembling. Each folder I unlocked revealed more rot, bribed officials, hidden overdoses, blackmail photos, offshore accounts. Rothvale wasn't just corrupt. It was a machine feeding off broken people. When I reached the last file, it was labeled Kira_Vidi2. Her face appeared again, bruised, whispering through tears. "If you're watching this, they already know." I felt something inside me break. Anger, grief, love, all tangled into silence. I compressed everything into a single file, the Rothvale leak. Then I uploaded it to Maeve's old journalist network, scheduled to go live in 48 hours. If I didn't stop it, the world would finally know everything, and maybe that was the point. At sunrise, I got a call from Nolan. His voice was flat. "They know Denali. They traced the upload." "How?" I whispered. "They used Kira's video as bait. She's gone, and now they're coming for you." I grabbed my keys. "Where are you?" "Downtown, the old Rothvale warehouse. If we're going down, we do it on our terms." My heart pounded as I drove through the rain. When I arrived, Nolan stood by a server rack, holding a flash drive. "This has the backup encryption codes," he said. "Once you send this, Rothvale's network dies. Forever." Before I could answer, headlights flared through the windows. Men in suits stepped out, armed, silent. Nolan shoved the drive into my hand. "Run! I'm not leaving you," I said, voice shaking. He smiled faintly. "You already did." Then the gunfire started. I ran. Through the smoke, through the chaos, clutching that last drive like a heartbeat. By the time I reached the alley, the warehouse behind me was burning. Sirens screamed in the distance. Nolan was gone, one final casualty of his own choices. I kept running until dawn. Then I stopped, opened my phone, and cancelled the 48-hour timer. Instead, I uploaded everything manually. Every file, every name, every secret, to every major network and news outlet in the country. By noon, the Rothvale leak was everywhere. Politicians resigned, executives vanished, warrants flew. And me? I disappeared. Weeks later, I watched the news from a small cafe in Oregon. My hair dyed, my name forgotten. "He thought I'd never heal," I whispered, sipping my coffee. But I learned to bleed quietly. And somewhere in the distance, the world finally listened.